Hey everybody, it's Thursday, November 20th, 2025. The theme of the day is sometimes the news is the stock market. Sometimes markets did this because of this or that, and sometimes the stock market is the news itself. Today the S&P 500 opened quite a bit higher than yesterday, reaching an intraday high of 2% of a gain in the S&P 500, and we actually ended up closing negative at a negative 1.5%. Everyone cheered in after hours as Nvidia released earnings that beat forecasts. But if you've been watching Robschild, you know that sometimes that's not enough, especially when you have such an enormous amount of price growth priced into the company. I have been saying ad nauseum, unless they have a wormhole to another dimension of which infinite amounts of gold just pours out of it, eventually, the market starts getting suspicious about the price being where it is, assuming that the earnings are just going to keep doubling and doubling and doubling at a very fast pace. Nvidia ended up closing today down 3%. I honestly thought it was going to take a bit longer than this. I thought the institutions pushing it up in the aftermarket with low liquidity, I knew they were doing this. I thought it would get the retail crowd more excited, more willing to buy the rally, and the selling pressure today was just enormous. It could not be stopped. Something I always like to check is the Google Trends, like what are people searching for on Google today? Yesterday, Nvidia. In all categories, Nvidia, the ticker symbol was at the top. That's not typical. That much attention should be a big red flag. Also, today, fourth highest trend as of right now, stock market today and S&P 500 in the top 5 searches on Google. Third headline, update on yesterday's title, lower high probable. Yesterday's show, I showed a line going up to here to match this trend line. We did find a lower high, but with this large of a red candle, this is really bearish. This is a very powerful, very large red candle. The fact that we were not able to even get up to this line and now we're breaking lower suggests that the lower high is already in. And as I said earlier, I thought this would take a little bit more time. Instead, it all happened in one day. We found our lower high and we went lower. I thought it was like, tomorrow we go up a little, next day up a little, next day up a little, and then start going down. Instead, we just went up and went down all within one day. Pretty amazing. And Bitcoin being, in my view, the purest form of risk appetite, not giving any kind of support of feeling any kind of risk appetite. Remember, stocks are risk assets. A stock doesn't owe anyone anything. It's not a bond. And with Bitcoin being an absolutely pure form of risk, showing a good sized move down today, I'm not sure we're actually going to be going up to 97,000 anymore. We might just be headed straight or semi-straight down into the mid-70s zone at this point. I'm hearing traders better than me that have been following Bitcoin suggesting that we're actually headed lower to somewhere around 60,000. The idea is once we really start cracking below the 50-week moving average, which is this orange line, which is curving down. Also, when moving averages turn down, that's not a good sign. It's showing we're now below a falling 50-day moving average. That it has never done this without going all the way down to the 200-week moving average, which currently is around 55,000. And so by the time we get there, we're headed to probably 60,000. According to the way one chartist has been noting that this has been a consistent way Bitcoin has acted in the past. Next, the unemployment report. I've been seeing some headlines suggesting that the number of jobs added being higher than expected at 119,000 were added instead of the expected 50,000, that was the thing that got people to think, oh, okay, oh no, there's definitely no December cut. But I don't think it's that at all. The 2 years basically flat looking further out, and we were already basically 60-40. But anyway, I want to bring up here the unemployment rate, very interestingly, also went up. So imagine that. We beat the employment report by 60,000 jobs. We were expecting 50,000. We got 119 for September. Yet the unemployment rate ticked up. Well, what does that mean? It means a lot of people got jobs, and at the same time, more people came out of the zone of saying, I give up, I don't want work anymore, I don't need work anymore because, Fartcoin's has made me a millionaire. Those people are coming out of the woodwork and saying, uh-oh, wait a minute, I need a job. That's why the unemployment rate is able to go up while the employment report looked strong, which leads us to the next headline, initial continued jobless claims. If you are subscribed to the Robschild channel, you may have caught my post in the morning when this had come out. And I wrote in the YouTube posts section, in the community section, we hit a 4-year high for the week of November 8th in the continued claims. So the initial claims wasn't super explosive, but when this is people that have been claiming unemployment all put together, continuing week after week. We're approaching the 2 million mark. If I go back 5 years just to scroll in what that looks like, we haven't been at this level since November of 2021. And what's interesting about this chart, from 2024, we were chopping sideways for a while. We broke out, we went higher. And then since June, we've been chopping sideways, and right now, highest high in 4 years. A sign that the jobs market is indeed cracking apart. On to the community topics next week. No Robschild show till Friday. I'm taking a vacation. And even though I normally do this show even while I'm on vacation, this time I've decided I'm going to unplug completely. I am planning to do a show on Friday, the 28th. Coming up on the calendar, more unemployment reports. Remember, that employment report was only for September. October's is supposed to come out on December 5th. November's on December 9th. We also have, those tariff updates. With the stock market volatility today being so high, so volatile, come on, where's the next taco? Anyway, thanks for watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, and supporting Robschild. No changes to the ball ratings. See my free website, link in the description to read through my daily reminders, macro views, portfolio explained, and stock research center. On to the charts, starting with the heat map. Definitely did not look like this in the morning, especially with Nvidia up 3% and then closing 3% down on the day. A historic day. Anyway, across the whole board, there's a lot of red by the end of the day, except for one notable outlier, the Walmart stock up 6.5%. Off of good earnings. We can't believe how many people are shopping at Walmart, they said. By the way, that's not always a good sign. Nothing against Walmart, but when Walmart no longer becomes a choice and becomes more of a necessity, it's just another one of those cracks in the economic ice. We already looked at this, but the S&P 500, again, we were clearly unable to even get back to this upper trend line, which would be a very normal move. That much weakness with this much selling in a day, this is really, really bearish looking. This is a nasty, nasty chart. And we did close below October 10th's low close there. That, we haven't been near that for a while. A lot of the times that will act as, where we close or we bounce up from, at least from that point. We cracked through it. The selling pressure was just way too intense today. Anybody trying to buy this, it was a falling knife, and you would get hurt trying to catch it as it fell today. There was so much fear in markets that it drove CNN Business's Fear and Greed Index all the way down to 6 from yesterday's 11. SMA Semiconductor Index, obviously looking very much like Nvidia. Interestingly, though, closing at the October 10th low. So The S&P 500, or we're slightly below it. I'm going to count that as the same spot. So this chart by itself says that we could get a bounce in semiconductors from here, which is often a leading thing of the stock market, especially like the S&P 500. Nvidia is not part of the Russell 2000, but similar thing, opening quite a bit higher and just flushing through the day, hitting a bottom we haven't seen since mid-August. The VIX today opened right around 20. We were dropping in the VIX down to 19, but intraday we reached up to 28 and closed at 26. This is fear zone, and the VVIX volatility engulfing the past 4 trading sessions in the VVIX, closing in panic zone. This is suggesting that it ain't over yet. Hold on to your hat. It's not very technical, but I've been looking at a lot of charts now for a long time. My spidey senses are saying TLT is about to break out here, and I don't know if TLT is going to shoot down or shoot up. My guess is that it's going to shoot up. I do think that as markets de-risk, longer term yields will be dropping. I do think that, well, TLT is my favorite place to be. What else can I see? One thing that supports this, the MOVE index dropped a lot today. So, with TLT hardly moving at all and the MOVE index dropping, that's typically a sign that TLT may have legs to go up. So while my spidey senses say, yields are about to break out, they haven't yet. The 10-year Treasury note yield essentially flat today. A lot of things basically flat. The 2-year Treasury note also basically flat. And junk bond credit spread, HYG divided by SHI, what can we call this? It's flat. This is the one area that really has sort of a strong disagreement to, the fear and greed index on CNN and Bitcoin and the stock market all falling. The credit market says, hey, these junk bonds are apparently safe. Similar kind of thing going on in crude oil, essentially going flat today. Again, I think these commodity markets are still waiting for more solid jobs data. What's the October employment report? What's the November employment report? September's report, as we saw earlier, didn't seem like good news to me. Jobs added, yet the unemployment rate rising. For that just to slow down, or the creation of jobs to slow down or reverse a little bit while the unemployment rate rises, I think these are about to fall, but for now they're flat. Crude oil's flat, copper's flat, gold's, you can't see it, gold's flat. Sorry about that. Another important chart that I almost made one of the headlines today, but I didn't. The 10-year break-even inflation rate dropped today to a lower low that we have not seen now since April. Okay, so the market is pricing in right now lower inflation than it had been pricing in from April until today. Today's reading in the 10-year break-even inflation rate is 2.24. I want to remind everybody that when the 10-year break-even inflation rate in 2024 in September got to 2%, that's when we had that not really emergency, but 50 basis point cut, which sent this higher and steady, and now we are dropping back down now. We've been falling pretty good with lower highs and lower lows since the end of July. The dollar is dead. The dollar is going to zero. The denominator of gold, that's why gold is going up, is because no one wants the dollar. Well, the dollar's up again today. And I'll take this previous line off here. It's losing relevance. The pattern here now is just real simple. Higher highs, higher lows, right? We can extend that back a little bit. So higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. This is bullish. What else can you call it? I also want to mention I was the only person practically in the world this whole time saying, I don't think the dollar is going to continue lower. I can't tell you how many chartists and economists and everybody saying it's going to go down to the 90s, it's going to go down to the 80s. And I said, no, it looks like we're forming a base here. And yeah, funny enough, yeah, we're fighting right now at this top we found in August 1st. Maybe finding some resistance in this chart. Bigger point, the dollar's in an uptrend. Last very notable thing, Bitcoin right now is down 3.7%, and the rest of the crypto market minus Bitcoin, so all crypto minus Bitcoin, is only down 2.5%. I see total 2 as being a higher, it sort of is the higher beta version of Bitcoin. I see this as typically higher risk. And if investors are willing to reach out further on the risk curve, if you want to call it that, to be getting into altcoins while Bitcoin is falling, I'm not sure what to make of it exactly, other than, maybe this is a sign that we will, maybe we'll get a bounce bigger than other people think. Yeah, but because once you have the riskiest part of the curve start like getting some attention, they can start pulling up the rest of the curve, right? That's how curves work. Overall, incredible day, really, with Nvidia and the S&P 500 opening higher, so much higher, looking so bullish, and then just flushing through the whole day. It was a crazy day. And I did say Thursday would probably be a pretty crazy day. It's post Nvidia earnings and the morning that all this jobs data came out. I have been talking about for like a week now that today would be a crazy day. I didn't think, but it still like really shocked me today what had happened. Anyway, that's all from me in my crystal ball. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Robschild.